welcome back for this week's video. This week, I guess October is just turning into eyeshadow palette month. This week I am going to be talking about and doing two looks using the new Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette, which the last time I did a review of an Urban Decay eyeshadow palette, it was this guy, which I pulled out. This was the Vice Reloaded palette, and I was so impressed by this little like bejeweled UD logo that they put on the front of this one. The packaging for the Heavy Metals palette completely exceeded all of my expectations. So the case, when it comes out of the box, it looks like this sort of like melted metal, and then you actually slide the shadows out from the center. I don't want to drop it and bust it, but so then, and of course there's a mirror right down the center, so you can see my camera there. Don't want to blind you with the lights, so I'll cover that. Then you have the cool shades on one side and the neutral shades on the other side. So the packaging on this was super, super exciting. Today is actually the first day that I've opened this palette, and I know that I've said that I'm kind of moving away from first impression videos, or at least trying to. But that's just not how this one is going to work out. So I'm going to do two different looks with this. Made sense to me since there's one colored side and one sort of neutral palette side. So I'm going to do one look using each side of the palette and let you know what I think. Before I jump in, I just want to let you guys know too, every single color in here is a metallic shade. So I recommend, if you have any kind of just nude or flesh toned shadows that you like, pop those out for transition shades and for blending. I'm going to be using the Lorac Nude Necessities palette. I did a review of this guy a long time ago. It's just nude shades, still my ride or die for nude shades of all kinds that I might need. So that said, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to jump right into the tutorial. So I just put on my transition shade and I wasn't recording. I just went into the Lorac Nude Necessities palette with a light nude shade and put it all kind of through the crease here and then down onto the lid to kind of prep it for taking on those metallic shades. Going to start out on the right side with the neutral tones, and what I was saying as well is I want to kind of follow the same method that we learned in the Charlotte Tilbury palette in last week's video. I'm going to pick just 3 of these colors to create a big bold look, and I'm only going to use 3 because I don't want to over blend them so you lose that high impact effect. So the first color I'm going to go in with is this gold color, Glory, and I'm going to use that right over top of the transition shade that I just put on. So this is going to be kind of like a crease color, and I'm using a smaller brush to start to see where this is going to go and kind of what it's going to do, and then I might use a more intense brush if this isn't getting me the result that I want. But since this is metallics, I am taking this all the way into the center and out. I want this to be pretty bold. So color deposit is good right off the bat. One thing that I learned after my last Urban Decay review video was that Urban Decay actually works very well with fingertips. If you find that you're not getting the color deposit that you anticipated using a brush, you can go in with your fingertips or a more densely packed brush or even a dampened brush and get a much bolder effect. So right now I feel like the brush I'm using is just a little bit too fluffy to get the effect that I want. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more densely packed one. This one might be a little bit large for what I'm trying to do here, but we'll see. So this one's a little bit more dense. I want to get a little bit stiffer deposit. So with this gold color, Glory, again, I'm just going through the crease, and for me, I kind of create the crease being a little bit higher up on the brow bone, just because I have those deep set smaller eyes, but I am also dragging it all the way into the corner and out and up a little bit onto the brow bone higher than I typically would, just to create a bolder look. And just for experimentation purposes, I'm going to go into a little bit of this gold on my finger and pat it right on the brow bone at the peak of where that is for the highest color concentration. Next, I'm going to go in with this brassy coppery orange color, Starfire, because it's just absolutely captured my attention and I can't stop looking at it. And I'm going to go in kind of on the bottom half of where we put that gold and also down onto the lid a little bit. I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush for this, and we're just going to layer it up again and go in with the fingertip if we want a little bit of a bolder shade. That is so pretty. So you can see that just by keeping a super light touch and layering and going over it in tiny circles, overlapping where we put the gold glory color, we really warmed that up and have this awesome sort of like fall leaf look going on, which isn't as like crazy glittery as I thought it was gonna be given the metallic nature of the palette, but I'm okay with this. So now I'm gonna go in with an even smaller brush, and I'm gonna go in with this really rich wine looking color called After Party, and I'm going to use this on the outer V to kind of smoke things out, and I'll probably drag that and the orange down onto the lower lash line as well. So going in with this lightly at first, as always, to see how much maybe we need to build. The pigment in these colors is so intense and I'm loving it. But at the same time, we don't want to go in and just go ham before we even have a chance to be artistic. So again, with the outer V for me, my natural outer V is really small and close to the center. So I'm kind of faking it and pulling it out to about here and then reconnecting it to the corner of my eye. So if you're somebody who has small eyes or deep set eyes or hooded eyes like I kind of do, you kind of just have to imagine what the shape of your eye could be or what you would rather it be for the sake of an eyeshadow application and create that outline. I love this color. I thought this look was going to be absolutely insane, but I am loving it so much right now. So you can see there I definitely kind of started with dragging the red down. I'm going to go in with a little bit of that orange as well, keeping it on that tiny little detailing brush, and just kind of blend all of this together. I am taking it over on the under eye a little bit further than I typically would because, again, I just want this to be a fun, bold look. I feel like where I had that gold originally might be getting lost in these lights a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go back to that first brush that I was using with the gold and kind of tap it into the gold and that orange color Starfire and go over it just super lightly. I don't want to undo any of the added coloring that we did in the outer V area. But I do just kind of want to beef up what we have going on up on the brow bone. And another option as well is to, again, go in with a fingertip into that orange and then right over where the orange and gold were overlapping, just tap a little bit of extra pigment into that overlap space. And last but not least, I lied. I don't like that the very inner bit of the lid is totally bare. So I'm going to go in with just a flat brush, just like a flat brush like this, designed for packing on some pigment. And I'm going to go in just for fun with the color Acoustic down here at the bottom. And I'm just going to pack a little bit into that corner. And if this brush doesn't do it for me, I'm going to use my fingertip. We're going to go back to the fingertip method. So just going to take a fingertip in that Acoustic and tap a little bit. There we go. Get a little bit of an extra pop. What I really like about using a fingertip as opposed to a brush is that you get the direct deposit that you want without over blending the color, and especially when you're going for like a really deep, bold, fun look, I don't like to over blend too much. So I'm not gonna mess with falsies this week. If you watched the Charlotte Tilbury video last week, you saw me glue on some crazy falsies. I'm just gonna amp up the mascara a little bit and slap on some liner, and then I'll show you guys what the final look on the neutral side of the palette is. Okay guys, so all makeup came off after look number 1, and I had to do a dry run with look number 2 to make sure that I could pull this off. So I'm actually really happy with how it came out. So we're gonna be moving on to the cool side of the palette now, and I'm gonna show you guys this more cut crease look that I came up with. So for starters with the cut crease, I went in with just one of these sort of twist up crayon liners. I went in with a neutral color and then kind of cleaned up using an angular brush like this one with the black color called Ground in the palette. So the first thing that I did is I stenciled out the crease that I wanted. Since my eyes are deep set and kind of fold up into the crease, I created it a little bit higher up, like where I typically tell you guys I put my transition color. So I just sort of started stenciling. And here on the outside, I kind of swept outward as opposed to curving down. And I tried to keep that line from going too thick. I've also seen this done with a gel eyeliner and just an angle brush. If you have that, I just went with what was easiest for me. So then using that angle brush, I'm going to dip it into that black color Ground and very lightly start also tracing that line while sweeping the black shadow upward. And it's okay if you overblend at this point. We're going to go back and sort of stiffen up that line a little bit later. And I'm not taking the black all the way in. I'm only going to be taking the black about halfway. You kind of want to end up like that, where it's staying pretty flat on the inside, but fanning out a little bit on the side there. And like I said, this is going to be gone over a couple of times, so don't stress out too hard about perfection at this point. The point is just to create the line so you have something to be staying sort of above and on top of. So once you have that kind of going and it's sort of starting to smudge upwards, I went in with a pencil brush into the color Aluminum there right next to it, and I dipped just the tip of that into the aluminum, and that is what I'm going to be using to blend the black up towards the brow bone. Just very lightly kind of going the very tip right where we had that black. And I'm still seeing just a little bit too much of a line on the outer edge there. So again, I'm going to go in with the angled the angled brush in the black and try to pull that upwards a little bit. There we go. So now the line sort of smudges up more instead of just being like a straight harsh line. That's the other reason I prefer to draw that line using a shadow or like a crayon pencil, because I feel like if you go in too hard with a gel liner, you'll never get that fully blended out. So I'm going to leave the top alone for now, and then the next thing I'm going to do is go in with an eyelid base. I like to use these NYX Jumbo pencils. This is in the color Milk. It's just a thick matte white, and I'm going to be using this in conjunction with just another sort of cheap angled brush that has sort of the stiffer synthetic bristles. And I'm going to start by just dabbing that a little bit onto the lid there in the crease and getting it up as close to that line as I can. But then I'm actually just going to take the brush itself right onto the top of the crayon. Oh, you can't see that. Right onto the top of the crayon like that. And I'm going to be going around and tracing the line that we made with that black shadow. Now this is the part where I was encouraging you before, if that black line of yours just wasn't quite as straight as you liked or just not quite as sharp as you liked, whatever the case may be, I'm going back in with that same angled shadow brush and that black color Ground, and I'm just going to kind of stiffen it up a little bit so we get a really nice cut crease between that and that white sort of clay base. Next, I'm going to take a small sort of curved little brush like this guy, and I'm going into the color Glam Rock, and I'm going to start by packing that here on the inner corner and take it over about 1/3 of the way across my eye. And you can kind of see where this brush has already been a little bit in the fourth color we're gonna be using here, which is the Amp. And this Amp, I actually just dipped my fingers into and started tapping that from the midpoint of my lid here over to the edge. And I was just kind of gradually layering this up to get the intensity that I wanted, again, staying below where we had that black line for the cut crease. On the very outer corner, just the tiniest bit with a small detail brush, I'm going in with the color Spandex, which I think is kind of hilarious, just to kind of make the dark wingy corner here match the bottom corner of the lid here. So just a very, very light touch, tiny little V here to kind of keep all of that together. So now you can kind of see how it's gotten a little bit sloppy out on the side here. So there are a couple different things you can do. If you're a person who likes the tape method, you want to just start with a piece of tape there, that's totally fine. I was actually just taking one of these little push-up concealers that has the brush on the end, and just not without adding too much more concealer, I just took the brush up the side and wiped up any excess that I wasn't super pleased with, and then kind of patted this out with my beauty blender. So you ended up with a much cleaner line. There we are. And I just took the brush that we used, that darker silver color aluminum in, and kind of blended out anything that was weird looking, any more of those lines that were visible that we didn't want to be visible. So you end up with a much cleaner edge over here. Then I went back in with that little detail brush that we just did a little purple touch with. I went back into that dark gray color aluminum and just a little bit came down onto the bottom lash line so it wasn't looking too bare down there. And then the last thing that I did was went in with winged eyeliner, which I haven't done in a very long time, and it's a little bit tragic when I do it, but have you all seen that meme about liquid eyeliner being able to smell your fear? That was me that entire time. And last but not least, just popping on some mascara here. And now I'm gonna add just a little bit of color to my cheeks and my lips, and that'll be the completed look. So you guys, I hope that you enjoyed the two looks that I put together using the new Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette. I had a blast with this. It was very much outside of my comfort zone, but I've been having a lot of fun with that this month with all the eyeshadow palettes that have been dropping. I was actually really impressed with this palette. It's been a while, I feel like, since Urban Decay has really wowed me with something they have come out with. This palette is great. I had my doubts given the fact that they are all metallic, there's not a single matte shade in there, but I kind of like it. I kind of that they just went all in with it. They said, this is what we're doing, this is a metallic palette, and you're getting metallics. Even with that, they still managed to give you a wide enough range of colors that you were able to create wearable looks. I chose not to do that with this video. I chose to kind of go the other end of the spectrum, do a lot more bold looks than I typically do, but you can see some of these other colors in here, the Angel Fire and the Maiden and Scream. There's a lot of lighter neutral colors and again, more on the buildable side. Not nearly buildable the way that Charlotte Tilbury was last week, but you even saw me going in with the color Ground, and you could layer that to a heavier black. So really impressed with this. Like I said, the packaging blew me away. I love that there's this giant mirror in the center. Not that I think this is a particularly travel-friendly palette, but I really like how artistic Urban Decay got with this palette. So I had a lot of fun with it. If you're looking for a good metallic eyeshadow palette to jump on, I definitely can say that I recommend this one. And other than that, I don't think I have anything else to share. So if you enjoyed these tutorials, if you enjoy hearing about eyeshadow from me in addition to a lot of the other products that I tend to prefer reviewing, I love that feedback. Let me know what you guys like. Let me know what products you want to see more of, and I'm happy to invest in them. So thank you for watching this video. As always, I appreciate your time and love that you spend it with me. If you are new here, welcome. Please click subscribe. I do one beauty video and one workout video every week, so you will get both fitness and beauty from this one channel. And my next video will be a workout for you launching Monday. Next beauty video will be next Friday. It's always Mondays and Fridays with me. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.